Well, let's try and reconnect with Senator Shehu Sani from Kaduna State, joining us to talk about the NSAS protest finding closure 4 years on. Hello, Comrade Shehu Sani. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you for having me.
Okay, sir. Well, comrade, we're talking about the NSAS protest finding closure 4 years on. But why does it seem as if it's been very difficult for, especially the youth, the young people, to, find that closure? Is it because justice has been elusive?
Thank you again for having me in this quarter. First of all, we must appreciate the patriotism, the courage, the conviction of the organizers of NSAS. It was a seismic political event. The restoration of democracy in 1999, there have been a series of protests by organized labor, by student union, by other civil society groups, but there has never been a time to which the political foundation of this nation was shaken by an organic protest, an organic objection and civil resistance by the people against the establishment. It was actually a protest sparked by the repudiation of police brutality, but it spread to around the country, generating a followership for which people stood up to challenge the government. We cannot say that there was no achievement, in the sense that, first of all, a clear message was sent to the government and the political establishment that a united people, determined, resolved to change their destiny, possible. And as we have seen how people, particularly young people, came out in the streets all over the country to register their protests. And secondly, for the fact that government considered and dissolved the SARS and also implement some aspects of police reforms is also an achievement. And we can see that that protest ignited a national conversation on the imperative or the need for people in government to always consider public opinion as a democracy. Before NSAS, people, when they think they win elections, so they have the mandate empowered by the Constitution to do what they want at any time. But young people in the streets, it was such a revolutionary event. Send a clear message that because you win elections, because you are in power, in the position of power authority, so you can't do as you want. And the issue of police brutality was the spark that brought people out. When all over the world and in history, people have always protested based on an issue. For example, the Arab Spring was ignited by the self-immolation of Mohamed Bouazizi in Tunisia, and which led to the spread of that protest and that overthrew autocratic and dictatorial regime around the Arab world. So that was our own spring. It was a Nigerian spring, and because young people have proven that they have to take back their country by standing up against the excesses, also the arbitrariness of the police, and also the sort of arrogance of people in the position of power. So it was a strong message, and the message was sent, and achievements were made. But unfortunately, the problem we had was that there was no clear leadership to consolidate on that, and also to make that into a movement for which they will take, the young people can take power ultimately. So it came and it fizzled out, and the memories are there, but history was made.
You're saying that young people or those protesters, the NSAS protesters, missed the mark. They didn't really achieve much with that protest. Is that it?
No, they have achieved, because, first of all, the protest was sparked by police brutality. For all we know, SARS is an unit of the state apparatus, particularly the police, and their actions have always gone contrary to law, and they have become identified with ill treatment of detainees, unlawful detention, gross human rights violations. This was what that outfit became symbol of. So, for the fact that people stood up, young people resisted, and then that unit was dissolved, was a major achievement. And also, the aspect of police reform also came to the forefront. And then, also, from that time, and I believe to this time, people in government now see the value of consulting young people and also including them into affairs of governance. And then young people are not being treated for granted to such a level. Because before NSAS, most protests were organized by the labor, student union, other civil groups that don't have that national spread. But NSAS changed the narrative and also the geopolitical map of civil objections, which we are all proud of. I can remember in 1993, when most of us were in the street fighting for Jim Crow, fighting for democracy. That was the kind of spirit, the kind of value, the kind of agility we had at that very time. And the event of that NSAS protest really rekindled that power of the people to take their destiny into their hands, which was something that will continue to remain in the memory and the annals of the history of our country.
All right, Senator Shehu Sani, now with the current insecurity, it does appear as if it has also been weaponized to stifle protests, because we are beginning to see a situation where the civic space is shrinking. Anytime protests are organized, it's met with strong resistance from the security, and they say it's because they are trying to also ensure that, you know, these protests are not hijacked by some undesirable element. So it does appear as if insecurity now is always the excuse to use against these protests we're having recently.
A democratic society must avail, guarantee and protect the rights of people to register protests. And protest is the oxygen of democracy. It is when people move to the street that at times those in power will know that they are mortals and they are also not invincible. So all over the world, people, democratic nations, people come out to register their protest. And even the democracy itself is a product of protest. Without protest, Nigeria could not have transited to democracy. That was our function. And I've also always referred to the president being the father of protest, by the protest which he led and by the one which he supported, directly or indirectly, in the last 3 decades. So, you can't, as a democracy, deny people the right to protest. It's their right. The Constitution provided it. So you're not doing a favor when you say people can protest. It's the Constitution of the country guarantees them the right to protest. But now, looking at what has happened in the end bad governance protest, protest also, there are code of conduct of protest. Protest needs leadership, protest need a duration, protest need a purpose, protest need control. If you don't consider such factors, it simply generates into violence. Like we have seen in November, the end bad governance protest was a protest in good faith, because people are hungry, people are demanding that government to implement economic reforms with human face. And also, people have the right to say governance is bad and we should come out and register their objections. But what is not acceptable is for you to ignite or to call for a protest and you don't have control over the protest that you ignited or fought. a protest was fought for the whole country. But in the northern part of Nigeria, there was no identifiable leaders of this protest. So people were told to come out on the street. And then it led to the violence we have seen in Kano, the violence we have seen in Kaduna, the violence we have seen in Yobe. People looted shops, burned down buildings, started snatching phones, attacking women, and then burning down properties. And that is not protest. But once that happened in southern part of Nigeria, because you have leaders that you can identify, who can take responsibility, and then you see it was peaceful. So if you know responsible country will simply pull its arms and see thugs and criminals taking laws into their hands and burning down buildings in the names of them, because they hide behind this protest that is genuine and credible, and then unleash this kind of violence. So if we can see what happened in Sudan, it was a protest that started as a result of people's anger against the rise of prices of bread, and then it went on and spread to the need to change government, and then before you know it, it became a season of disorder and lawlessness. And then all you have was the military coming in, taking over power, and the whole country is now in jeopardy, it's in war. Everything has been destroyed. So for a nation like ours, over 220 million people, I think whatever we're going to do, rights should be guaranteed, but the security and safety of others is also very important. There has never been a country of 250 million people or 20 million people that have gone into violence and civil strife and come out of it. What is the population of our neighbors? So if you are calling for a protest and you want that protest to succeed, you must appoint leaders for which can be respected. If I say I'm going to call a protest and beginning from point A to ending point B, and whoever is going to be that part of protest should follow the rules which we are moving along. But when you call protest, there are no leaders. There is so much anger. There are so much people who will take it law into their hands. And this is what we had in northern part of Nigeria.
And it was
because of the violence, the bloodshed. That's why the second aspect of the end bad governance couldn't succeed. Because
before I let you go, just want you to answer this. Yeah, before I let you go, just wanted to answer this. You know, we have seen that in this part of the country, you know, most of the protests we have had recently did not really bring solutions. If protest is not the answer, is there an alternative to engage in government? A better alternative?
You see, when you talk to the government and they don't listen, and when you write the government, they don't listen, and when you pray the government, they don't listen. The next is for people to protest. There is nothing wrong with that. People have to come out and protest and say no. But what is not acceptable is for people to start burning down buildings. And we have conducted this interview in Kaduna. Myself and the present governor of Kaduna State, we have organized so many protests 30 years ago, and it was peaceful. So he cannot say people should not protest. But when people started burning down buildings, that's a different matter. Even the president himself, he cannot. It is a fact that most of the young people who are protesting, they learn from him and they go through his history. So people have the right to protest, and don't say that government doesn't listen to protest. They do, because each time you have 100, 200, 300 people on the street, the reputation of the government is also on the street. So people should not say they will not protest. The issue is that don't just start burning buildings. Don't just subscribe to violence. Don't start killing people in the name of protest. And that should be well taken care of. And the security agencies provide protection for people who wants to protest.
Senator Shehu Sani, I'm afraid we are out of time now. I must thank you very much for your time on the program. And apologies, we couldn't really connect with you at the beginning because of technology. I would say technology failed us today. Well, and I must also thank you, Musa Kontongora of Asovila News for your intervention on the program today. Thank you very much, sir. Well, that's all time will permit us to take on the program today. Do remember you can see this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel. Also, like, share, and well, that's all on the program today. See you next time.